Hey everybody, welcome to WP Roundtable episode 186. Today I'm joined by Heather Steele of Blue Steel Solutions. How you doing, Heather?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Pretty great. Pretty excited to have you on the show this fine Monday afternoon, which has been a busy day for both of us, but we're taking a little time to just learn a little more about your story. And I'm pretty excited to hear more. Okay. Heather, you and I have met through like some online channels. I
Yes.
think I see you participating a lot in the Business of WordPress Slack channel. I think that's
Probably
right.
too much.
Can you too much? I don't know about that. That's a great Slack team. That's one of my favorites.
It is awesome. I'm always telling like other WordPress people I know, I'm like, why aren't you in here? Like you don't know what you're missing out on. I learn something every day. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is a special little community, and I value it very highly, despite not doing any consulting anymore, and not even missing it for a minute. That's the theme of a lot of the discussions, but I still find it very inspiring and engaging, and participate as much as I can. But yeah, it's a cool place. So that's how I guess we've become acquainted. But I still don't know a lot about your business or background, and that's what we're going to try and accomplish today. Before we dive into your story, let's talk about their quick picks of the week. This week, I want to share that I've been, I guess, encountering a lot of indie hackers stuff lately that I've been enjoying. I listened to one of the co-founders of Indie Hackers be interviewed on Joe Howard's WPMRR podcast, I think his most recent episode, and that was really good. Super interesting to hear about their story and how they were a small blog, I guess, and they got acquired by Stripe out of the blue, and now have this just amazing, vibrant community with some of the best stories you can find for entrepreneurs like us. Awesome. And a couple of the recent posts have been really good. Josh Strevel posted one that had something to do with starting 2019 strong, I guess, and all of his writings are always great. And another person named Nirav Mehta wrote ideas for promoting your software product, and I also found that to be a very useful article with some great ideas that we've taken internally and started experimenting with. So just check out Indie Hackers in general. They've got good stuff coming at you from all angles. There's an Indie Hackers podcast too, which is solid. So that's my recommendation. What have you got to share today, Heather?
Nice. So I have a plugin recommendation. If you do a lot of writing, or like we do a ton of writing for clients and for ourselves, then you're probably familiar with the struggle of just getting that out of like Google Docs and into WordPress. Is kind of, sometimes it's like the bare minimum work you need to do for the day, but it's still just like, oh my God, I got to go log in and copy paste and reformat, and it's just a pain. So we are experimenting with Wordable, which is a plugin that allows you to just export straight from your Google Doc into a WordPress site. And so far, my writers are loving it. They said it's really just like making their lives a lot easier, and they're able to get into, the WordPress dashboard a lot faster because they're not having to go and log in. And even though it's like the most simple thing to do, sometimes it's like, oh, it's just a beating. So they're able to kind of stay in the environment that they like to be in, and then our designer can go in and make it look pretty and do everything she needs to do without them having to really get into that area. So far we're loving it, and Greg from Wordable has been awesome, helping us just kind of figure out some of the kinks and making us part of the beta program. So definitely very cool. If you do a lot of content production, very, very nice plugin.
Is that something you guys do a lot of, content production?
Yes. Yeah.
Really?
We do lots of content.
Really? Okay. On behalf of clients or for like your own company marketing?
I wish I could say we do a ton of our own. We need to do more for ourselves, but yeah, content's one of the primary services that we offer. So we do a lot of writing blog posts and print material, and most of our clients that we do, if we do a website, we're also writing all the content for the site.
Wow. Yeah. Do you yourself do some writing on behalf of clients?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I have two great writers that handle that, but my background's in technical writing, so I can, when I need to, I can definitely print out some good content.
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's learn a little bit more about your background, because that's what I want to hear about it. And where I like to start is really when your work life kind of kicked off, and understand the vision that you had for your career, if you will. So go back to a younger Heather Steele, thinking she had, figured out the right path to tread. And what were the first steps you took on that path, and describe what you expected to find along the way?
Yeah. So my whole life, I mean, from the time I was itty bitty, I wanted to be a veterinarian. That was like
Great.
no other ideas ever. Just I'm going to be a large animal vet. I could picture it. So after I graduated from high school and started college, I went ahead and started working as a vet tech, so I could just understand what I was getting into and kind of be ahead and learn about the field. And quickly realized that veterinarians have a lot of debt, and they're like super depressed people.
Wow.
Sadly, it's a very veterinarians actually have like one of the highest suicide rates.
What? Really?
Because
Is that right?
we have people that either can't afford or won't pay for the services that their animals need. And so they just carry all this guilt. Plus they carry tons of student loan debt. Plus they have no business training. And so they don't really know how to run a business. It's just like this perfect storm.
Oh, no.
So
I had never, I mean, when you say it, I guess it makes sense.
yeah, yeah, it's
No
really
idea.
kind of like hug your vet. Like they need it. They deal
Okay.
with a lot. And so between that and the fact that I just really wasn't that good at math and science when it came right down to it, college was kind of a big eye opener that like maybe I don't have the grades or the intelligence to actually even get into vet school in the first place. And so I worked in our school's technical writing lab. So I kind of switched over very late in my college career to start doing technical writing, and got my feet right on the ground and started working as a contractor for companies like Computer Associates and Accor International to get some really good, training and know what I was doing. So I had this like perfect path. I'm going to be this technical writer. It's not the most exciting job in the world, but I see people that have been doing this for years. They get great retirement packages. This is all looking like this is a great path. And so when I was actually on a vacation with my husband and his family, had just gotten engaged to my husband. This was 2005. My husband's cousin's father-in-law, random guy, kind of came up out of the blue and was like, so you're a technical writer and that's what you plan to do. He's like, that like technical writer won't even be a job in like 3 or 4 years, right?
What?
Like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, you're going to see everyone's going to get laid off. Like it's all going to go to like one person's going to produce all the content for the whole company. Everything's going to be like user source. Like your job is going to go away. I was kind of like, okay, asshole, whatever. But
that's a little forward, I think.
It was a little much for me.
Yeah.
But it turns out he was right. I started seeing like everybody in my department started getting laid off, and it was like, oh my God, like the writing's on the wall. Like this is crumbling.
The writing's on the wall.
Seriously, I was the vice president of our local chapter of like the Society for Technical Communication, and it was just like everyone was losing their jobs. The only reason I still had a job was because I was the cheap part-time labor, right? And so I was like, okay, I've got to figure out something else. I've got about another year left in school to figure out what I'm going to do. And so I started changing up my position. I went to my boss and was like, hey, I don't think this technical writing thing is going to work out. Like, what else can I do here? And so she's like, well, marketing could use help with, we've got this user guide that was written for like the Y2K software to help banks change over and not like lose everyone's money. So if you can come up with a new use for this product and help marketing, like remarket this for a new use, that would be great. And so that was my first really step into marketing and business development and product development. And from there, I went on and did a lot of other contract work through the rest of my college career, and was able to come out and be working basically as the lead of a marketing department for a small business when I graduated.
Okay.
So that was when I got into that career. I kind of always wanted to work for myself. I mean, even being a veterinarian, I pictured myself having my own practice. Then it was, I'll eventually have this little tech writing shop. And so getting into marketing was like, okay, well, one day I'll have my own agency. So after a few years of working for other people, I was doing marketing for a financial services firm where we supported about 500 independent broker dealers. So kind of like their own little business owners, and we were helping them with their marketing and helping them make decisions about what they wanted to do. So when I had my second child, I went on maternity leave, and I used that 8 weeks that I had off, and I was like, you know what? I don't really like it there. Like, I don't like the people I work with. I was commuting like an hour and a half each way. It was ridiculous. I was like, I'm just not going back. I'm going to use my maternity leave, and I'm going to build a business.
Wow.
And so me and my little newborn baby went around to meetings and talked to everybody that would could about what I was starting. And by the time that my maternity leave was over, I had enough projects to cover my salary, and Blue Steel was born.
That is some hustle. Wow.
It was, I got pretty lucky. I found one client that I actually found them on Craigslist. They were trying to hire like a cheap marketing person. So I was like, you know what, don't do that. Like, let me be your outsourced marketing director. And so that one client really covered my salary. And then everything else on top was just kind of, okay, let's just keep this momentum going. And so I had one client that was really the bread and butter of my main focus, and then everything else just kind of built on the side.
Oh, that's remarkable. Outstanding. Impressive. Like most everyone takes so long to replace that salary, months if not years, and to be able to do it in a matter of weeks.
It was kind of stupid looking back. We could have gotten ourselves in a lot of trouble because my husband actually left his job to take care of the kids so I could start what I was doing. So we definitely took a big leap of faith within, a few months period, but hopefully it all worked out, and here we are.
Okay. Your husband left his job at the time as well. Wow. So both of you were on the same page and all in on this idea. Like what did you know before, or what, like, was this on your mind? You were discerning this path for a long time? When you tell the story, you make it sound spontaneous.
Yeah, no, I mean, I knew that I wanted to have my own business forever. It was always a question of just when am I going to go out and start my own thing? And so that was just a great opportunity. And honestly, I was so burnt out. I was like, I just cannot go back. Like, I cannot drop my children off at daycare and drive an hour and a half to downtown Dallas to go work for these people that are just toxic. I can't do it anymore. And so there was no other option. It was, this is either going to work, and I'm going to do this, or it's not going to work, and I'm going to go find a job somewhere else once I crash and burn.
Sure. Which would be the path that a lot of people would take. Like, well, it's time for me to start filling out new applications, not start a new business. But
yeah, looking back, it was, our family was probably like, what the heck are you thinking? But it worked out. And, I think that everything happens for a reason. And
of course,
where we're at now with the kids and family and all that, it's just so much better than it ever could have been if I was working for someone else.
What was your value proposition and your suite of services that you were offering these initial clients?
Yeah, so I was really pitching myself as like, let me be your outsourced marketing department. Whatever you're trying to do yourself, because most of the businesses were at a size where they knew marketing was important. They just didn't know what to do or who to hire or how to get it done. It was like, just give it to me.
Yeah.
And I will take care of it. I will be your marketing department. So it was really a whole lot of everything. Yeah, which again, in retrospect, is crazy. But
not that crazy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So lots of websites and content and email marketing strategy and print design and you name it, I did it.
There's got to be some of those things that you hadn't had experience with yet, and yet you're still offering those. Was that the case? Or had you really done all of that already?
Yeah, I had done at least some of all of it. There was some trial and error definitely going on in there. And during this time, I made the jump from only Joomla sites to only WordPress sites. So that was probably my biggest learning curve, was just figuring out what in the world WordPress is and learning how to use it. But I had always been in a position where I was kind of the only marketing person at least in my full-time jobs. After I left the contract world, it was, I was the marketing department. And so I had a lot of experience in a lot of different things, maybe not to the same depth that I do now, but most of what I was doing, I had done before in some form or another.
Interesting. One of my favorite things to hear about for people who have been running a business for some years is how you have refined your offering over those years. Because my experience has been that anybody who has been running an agency like this for any extended period of time has changed a little bit what they choose to offer to maybe emphasize their strengths a little bit more and avoid things that they no longer enjoy doing. How has your service offering evolved since then?
We've definitely cut, it's kind of, we started out with like, we are full service marketing, we'll do everything. And now we offer graphic design, website design and development, and content writing. That's it.
All right.
So probably the biggest things that we took off our plate, there was definitely times when we were trying to build ourselves as, we do SEO and we do ads and we do Facebook ads, we'll build your whole funnel, we do email marketing, all these things that, yes, in reality, what we do still is part of those pieces, but we don't directly offer that to any new clients.
Sure. I hear that story so often, or like something very similar. In fact, it's quite rare that I hear the opposite. This was my experience as well, starting the business, young, trying to figure out what would work, what do people need. Not even sure what I'm good at yet, honestly. What, maybe not aware of that fact, but as the years progressed, with almost each passing year, we were eliminating something from our list of services.
Yeah, definitely. And I would imagine we'll continue to do that. There's still some stuff that I'm like, maybe we can like whittle that down even further. What does that really look like in its most condensed form?
As you've done that, have you discovered what I also discovered, that the surprising fact that this helps, at least when it comes to finding projects? Of course, I foolishly believed that if I eliminate services, I'm eliminating potential clients, and it might be harder for me to bring in more projects because I don't offer everything. When in fact the opposite was true. The more we honed down what we did, the more clients we were able to get. Has that been your experience?
It has to some extent. I think the one piece of what we do that's really tricky for people is we do ongoing content, but we don't do SEO. Right. So most of our clients that are doing ongoing content, they need to have an SEO firm on board. They need to have someone who's managing the keyword research, that's, really managing the overall strategy, that's doing all the offsite stuff. And we just focus on that little slice of, we will make the content amazing. And it's going to do its job from being optimized for search, but it's also going to have a strong call to action. It's going to make people want to work with you. It's going to have your brand voice embedded in it. It's going to do all these other really important things, but it's going to take a long time if you're just feeding us keywords and you're not doing anything else. We've got to have someone else who's managing that ongoing strategy. And that's a really hard one for us because we do have a couple of clients where we do all of that ourselves, but we know that it's not our best offering. And so I have to constantly pull back from offering that to people and remind myself like, no, we don't sell that service anymore. That's something that we're not putting on the table. Like if they want that, then we have to either refer them to someone or they have to work with someone else because we just can't. It's beyond our capacity at this point.
I wonder if you encounter this, like any time writing comes up, and when it comes to marketing, like it's always about SEO. And like when it comes from a client or other just people preaching about content is king and producing more content and blogging and blah, 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 they're all just talking about search as like the number one audience. Like if we want to get visitors to the site, we got to write for the search engines. And it is refreshing and cool to hear you talk about completely focusing on writing as a high priority, but not for search, not because of search engines, for all the other reasons that you want great writing.
Exactly. So, and I think again, we do want to keep search as like, it's really important.
Of
If
course.
people can't find it, then it's not going to do anything. So we do want to have it optimized, and we want it to be on a well-optimized site. But we also really focus a lot with our clients on thinking beyond lead generation. You know, most people kind of, if you were to think about like the typical marketing or sales funnel, all the effort goes into that first little bit. Let's just skim the top with all of our efforts and all of our budget just to generate leads. That's all people really care about.
Right.
It's just get people to the site, get their email address. That's like 99% of the focus. What we want to do is pull that focus all the way through. And with our content, we can really help with, okay, what's your sales process look like? How can we support your sales process with the right content, with the right case studies, with the right blog posts, with the right materials? How can we help to make your sales go faster? How can we help to take those people that you are selling to and are your customers and make them your evangelists and get them back and make them repeat customers? And content's a great way to do that. You know, it's so much more than just pulling people in to see your site.
Yeah.
You've got so much more work to do. Like that's just skimming the top, you know? You could go buy a list if you just want leads. Just go buy a list and start calling them, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't have the means to actually convert them and to keep them happy, then you're just constantly be fighting for more and more and more leads.
What are the consequences that you bring up that you find it particularly persuasive as well in the conversations you always, I'm sure often have with clients? The consequences of not emphasizing content beyond a search context.
Well, I think it's usually I ask people, okay, so what size is your sales force? Like, how many people do you have in sales? Because if you're not using marketing, or you're not using communications to help do that work of pulling people all the way through the funnel and all the way through to a sale, then you better have some really great account managers or salespeople or someone that's going to do that work for you. Right? Otherwise, who's telling your story? Who's making people choose you over someone else?
Right.
Typically, there's no one, right? It's either sales or it's nothing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you don't have something there that's doing it for you, then you're really just kind of taking what you're lucky enough to close off of just your one-on-one interaction with them. Or, you know, if you're selling a product, maybe they found you and they just went straight through the sale because it was a simple e-commerce transaction. But for larger businesses, if there's not a person that's in charge of that, then like, what is?
Right. Yeah. That's totally true. And I love thinking along these lines. Just when you think about your writing, it doesn't need to be fun to read to work for search engines. It doesn't need to be on brand to work for search engines. It doesn't even need to be factually accurate to work for search engines. And these are things that matter.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be compelling. It doesn't have to make people want to work with you.
No, it doesn't have to.
People through, and they might be the wrong people, or they might be people that are never going to be motivated to take that next step.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, back to your story. You guys, you started the business. And does your husband work with the business now too?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay. Okay. Then how did you got those initial clients, and that's just you alone, fulfilling, making the sale, doing the work, and that's it. How did you get to that next stage where it's more than just you?
Yeah, so I started the business in 2010. By about, I guess it was the summer of 2012, I hired an intern. So I started out with someone just very green, part-time. He stayed with me for, I want to say 4 years.
Wow.
I started teaching him all the different things we did in the business, just everything I could think of that I could expose him to. Kind of spent the first like 6 or 8 weeks just here, shadow me while I show you all these different things I do. And then at the end of that, I said, what was your favorite thing? Like, what do you want to learn more about? And he was really interested in learning more about developing WordPress sites. And so we kind of set him up with, let's start with some really easy stuff. You can just be the one that enters the content. You can be the one that takes information and adds it to the site. And over time started giving him more training and resources. And I actually set him up with like the food plugins guys. He was doing some work for them, just, little work on their website, and helped him kind of find his way by exposing him to a lot of different things in the WordPress world. And by the time that his skill set was where I could really use him full time, he had graduated. And so it was like a good timing to be able to bring him on full time. At that point, he had a lot of experience, a lot of access to different people, not just me, but, by introducing him to the WordPress community and having him work on several projects, outside of Blue Steel, he got a feel for how other people do their website development. And so he was our first hire. And then really pretty much everybody else has started either as an intern or as a contractor, where we can kind of try them out part-time for a while, see how they fit, if they fit with the team, if they get what we're doing. And then once we see that it's a good fit, we can move them into a full-time position.
Wow. What's the makeup of your team right now? Is it a lot of different roles covered?
Yeah, so right now we've got 2 full-time content writers, a full-time designer. Our developer is actually a contractor right now. And I think I might keep it that way, because it's kind of hard to keep a full-time developer for us right now, just with the way we've shifted our business. And then we have 2 interns and myself.
Wow. Okay. So you've continued with the intern program. That's interesting. Yeah.
I love working with interns. I think they bring a really fresh perspective, and it's great for them to be able to learn about, what we do, and kind of use that time to figure out which little niche do they want to carve out. So many kids come out and they're like, I'm going to do marketing. I'm like, that means a lot of different things. Like, you need to realize you will make no money as a marketer, but you can make great money as an SEO specialist, or as, this particular type of graphic designer, or whatever it is that you want to do. So we give them the opportunity to work in all of our different areas and figure out what they like to do. And if they're a really good fit, then we'll typically try to see, is there a full-time position there for you?
Gotcha. Has that been where most of your hires have come from?
Yes. So 2 of my full-timers started as interns that I have right now. And then one of our content writers started as a contractor and then moved into the full-time position.
What does your sales cycle look like? Like, where do you mostly get clients from? And then do they primarily work through you, and then do you manage the project, and so on? The customer workflow, I guess.
So most of our clients do come from referrals. We get a lot of leads off of our website, but they're typically, I'd say maybe 15 to 20% of those are a good fit for us, and the rest either don't have the budget or just want stuff that we don't offer. So most of our best leads come through referrals. I work the full sales process, so they're interacting with me while we're putting together a proposal, figuring out what they need, putting all the pieces together. I did have a project manager for a while, and that was great. But when she left, I decided to take project management back under my umbrella and bring on developer and the extra content writer instead. And so I'm kind of the focal point for people if they're just doing a project, right? Like if it's just a one-off thing, we're just building a website, we're just doing some kind of one-off project where it's going to have a beginning and an end. I'm typically the focal point and the person that they work through. We really try to bring on people that we're going to have an ongoing relationship with. So if we're entering into some sort of retainer relationship, I'll start out as the primary person. And then once they get acclimated to us and our processes, I'll start to bring in other points of contact, and introduce them to the writer or designer so that they can interact more directly.
You run a business where you have had experience doing everything that can be done and more yourself personally before. And now the number of things that you do is a smaller number of things as your business has grown. More people can wear some of the hats. What are some of the, for you personally, what are some of the hats that you're happiest to give up? And maybe some that you're most reluctant to give up, and maybe some that you're like, you can't give up, but you wish you could.
I think that my skill set is definitely in interacting with people and managing the projects and managing sales. I can do development. I can do design. I can write, but I'm not great at them. It's not my best work, right? I can do it, and the client's probably going to be happy with it, but the people I've hired can do it so much better than I can.
Right.
So I really have no qualms with handing that over. It's like, please take it. Like, I'm going to drag my feet because I'm not that great at it, and it's going to be a poor end product compared to what you guys could create if I just stay out of it.
Sure.
So I really don't have any problems passing the baton on that. I would love if I could just have someone that could understand how to sell for us.
Sure.
I've tried to hire salespeople, and it's a really tough fit, I think.
I know it is. I know how hard it is.
Yeah. So that would be the one thing, if I could like magically have someone that just loves sales and wanted to come, sell for us, that'd be awesome.
Sure. And truly understood like what it is that you do. Because someone can sell stuff, but they have to understand what you do and be like in our line of work, the line between a consultant and the salesperson is pretty fuzzy.
Right.
And that was always our struggle for someone to like really be able to come into the meeting, bring value to the customer, help like discern what their true needs are, translate that into some sort of project we could package and deliver to them. So we never really had any success getting someone to sell on our behalf.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
And I really, once the interest is there, I love it. Like carrying the baton past that point is great. I've always thought it would be interesting to have someone who could just be out kind of generating interest for us. Some sort of outbound strategy. But I haven't found that person. People that get what we do and can kind of understand the strategy that we offer to our clients and the value of it, they're not the type to pick up the phone and call anybody, right? Their personality type is like, I can't do it. And so that's been a hard fit for us to fill.
So if we imagine, and however long it takes, I don't know, but if a day comes where Blue Steel's is 10 or 20 or 30 people, what will you still be doing? Just managing projects?
No, I think I would definitely shift more into being kind of more like the thought leader, as much as I hate to use that word, but being the person that's kind of out there like educating on our behalf and helping people more in like a general public sense than our one-on-one clients. What I really love to do is to help other people that are in the position that I was once in, that are trying to figure out how to start a business and make it profitable and market it and do all the things that need to be done on a very shoestring budget.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, those people don't make very good clients because they don't have money to pay. Right. So it's this dilemma. Like, these are the people I'm really passionate about and I really want to help, yet they have no money. So I can only help them so much. Right.
Bummer. So do you feel like in a way you're kind of like a veterinarian still?
Maybe so. Yeah.
You can relate at least.
Owners are like a Cocker Spaniel with a broken leg. You're like, I don't know. What do I do? Can I take care of them, or do I just have to sorry?
Right. Yeah. Here's my business. It's,
Yeah.
Can you help save it?
So, my vision would be that we have enough of the recurring work to kind of sustain Blue Steel and eventually find someone who is the me for Blue Steel, and let me kind of go off onto the other side of our business, which is educational products, courses, ebooks, live seminars, things that we really can reach more of a mass audience with and actually help them implement strategies, get their marketing, their business up to speed without it being a one-on-one situation.
I want to know a little bit about, as you tell your story, this has become something I'm curious about. I want to know a little more about where you get your inspiration and your motivation from. Are you the kind of person who is very self-driven, like you set your sights on something and nothing can stand in your way? Or are you like more like the rest of us, where there are good days and bad days? I know how stressful it can be running a small business just like yours. It's tough. There are probably a lot of days where you're like, why am I doing this? Like this is harder than it's worth. You probably feel like that at times. But what are your sources of inspiration and motivation to just like carry on with it? Like maybe you have communities that you're in, like other entrepreneurs that like help encourage you, or people who inspire you that you follow.
Yeah.
What are you drawing from?
You know, I definitely, I have some of that, like, I'm just going to do it because I said I was going to do it, right? Like, I'm the last person to ever want to be proved wrong. And so when I first started my business, there was a lot of, in fact, that first client that I brought on that was kind of the bulk of my income was not very happy when we finally had to part ways because they were just taking up too much of my time, and it was just kind of a negative environment to be around. You know, they kind of gave me the like, well, without us, like, you're never going to make it. You're going to fail. You'll be out of business in a year. And I'm just like,
Oh my goodness.
oh,
What?
well, screw you. Like, watch me go, you know?
Rude. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, they called us in about 2 years ago to try to get some consulting and some help. And I went to the meeting and kind of went through the whole process and got their budget. And it felt so good to just stand up and be like, well, you can't afford us. Sorry. Like, too bad. So part of it is definitely like, I never want to be the failure or proven wrong. There's also, you know, now I've got the motivation of I have employees that if we're not doing well and we're not moving forward, then, you know, their financial stability depends on me. My own family, there's definitely that pressure. But as far as, you know, like the motivation from like the day to day, you know, I think those are the things that keep you moving in the big picture. But day to day, it's definitely like groups like we're in with the business of WP is instrumental to just have other people to be that sounding board. You know, I think I also really just enjoy any time that I'm able to work with a group of people that usually it's through like a live seminar or webinar or something like that, where we can distill information that people just don't know, right? Like people that are just starting their business, they don't realize that some of the things they can do that are going to make a big impact are not that hard, right? They just need someone to like distill the information in a way that they can go home and put it into action. So getting the feedback from them that, you know, we've given them information that's like truly going to change their business, that's huge for me. That makes me like, I'll stay up all night like working on materials for that type of scenario.
Yeah.
And then as far as, you know, like people that I kind of look to that are like, you know, maybe one day I'll get there. I think Mel Robbins is a great example of someone who's just like really built this empire around helping people and teaching people techniques and ways that they can be more successful. And I think that she's someone that I look to is like, okay, you know, I can kind of keep following this path, and eventually the things that I want to teach people, I'll be able to reach on this huge level.
Wow. Fantastic. Yeah, that's exciting. You have, I want to ask you a little bit about the product side of your business. Wow. So that, it sounds like that is a little newer. Tell us a little background on how you started to develop some sort of premium products in the business and then decided to make it a big part of what you do.
Yeah, so we've always been, you know, big on doing like lunch and learns and giving away free information. And it was kind of a, you know, we started doing that as a way to be able to generate leads for ourselves, right? Like we'll go do all these lunch and learns and education and put out great content, and that'll generate all these leads for our business. And so we were spending a lot of time on that, making ebooks and, you know, really great templates that kind of teach people how to do what we do on their own. And over time, we weren't really getting any leads from it. So we just sort of like forgot about it. I'm like, okay, we made all this stuff. It didn't work. Let's just leave it over there. And so probably a year and a half went by that we really hadn't paid any attention to that. We just kind of left it all on autopilot. And I came in and we had like over 8,000 people on our email list. We hadn't even sent an email out to in like a year and a half. We did nothing. It was kind of built from people finding our stuff and downloading it, and people all over the world were using our materials. And so then it was like, okay, well maybe we're missing out on something here. And so we started to dive back in and try to, reconnect with those people and sell them services and see if there was a fit for a project. And then there just wasn't. They didn't have any money. So then we were like, well, what if we take it up a level? Let's take some of these materials and really make them premium products and sell them on the website and just see what happens. And people were paying for them. At that point, we had gone from free to now, it's going to cost you $5, $10, $20, $50, depending on, what it is you want to buy. And people, had no problem with that. They're paying for the products that we used to basically give away for free. And I think getting a lot more value out of them because they actually, since they paid for it, they actually went back and used it instead of just like letting it sit on their desktop. And so around the end of 2018, I approached my lead content writer who's been with me forever. And just like, we need to like focus on this. Like, this needs to be a business. There's so much here that we're already doing, that we're already giving away to people, in the training and information products. So we need to just focus on this and see if we can really make an education business out of it. Mm-hmm. And so fortunately, Blue Steel's kind of at a point where we've got enough retainer work that we could not sell a project all year and continue that business. Not that we will do that, but we could continue on retainer work. So it really gives us a chance to kind of sidestep and look at, okay, what can we do with this? Let's really build this business up and not only like make some profit off of what we've been doing for free in the past, but reach a lot more people and help more people in their business. Yeah. Help people learn what it is that they need to be doing. Because there's so much bad information or just misinformation out there. That we want to be the ones that can come out and say, okay, if you're starting a business or if you're floundering, if you feel like a total failure because you just can't get it right, here's the process to follow to get things back on track.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing. Okay. So what's the state of this catalog of products today?
We have about 15 products right now, just in different categories of, whatever it is that you're trying to do from a standpoint of figuring out like your audience and brand persona, all the way up to like creating Facebook ads and some of the stuff that we do for ourselves in our business. We've really productized that and made it into like a small course or an ebook or a template or something that just takes people through the process in a really simplified, easy to follow way. And, oh, sorry.
I was going to ask about growing this. You want to grow this product division bigger. What is the primary strategy? Is it adding more products, enhancing existing products, or marketing existing products better? What's right really now, the focus?
Definitely adding a couple of premium courses. We've got some small stuff right now, but adding a couple of courses that are really going to go in depth and be a little bit higher price point, and then just marketing it. All we've ever done is gotten stuff that people have found organically just through the content that we've created. So now we're starting to put a little effort and some dollars into marketing, and that's already paying off. And we're seeing sales, start to kind of died off towards the end of the year as people were, I think, busy and holidays and all of that. But we're starting to see the sales come back up and products that we've increased pricing on just to see, how that's going to work. People are still happy to pay for it. So
that's great.
Yeah. So I think we'll just continue with that for now, kind of a slow growth strategy. And next step will be starting to really, get a social media platform established for this business, which is called The Marketing Forge. That's the name that we've given this side of our business, and creating that as its own entity, really separate from Blue Steel.
Wow. Okay. So you plan on developing some educational stuff, like some courses, and is this material that is largely coming from you, just like stuff from your experience, or elsewhere? What's the source of this educational content you're packaging up?
Yeah, so right now it's all us. It's basically how we're running our business, how we're implementing things with our clients, packaged into a like do-it-yourself format. Okay. I think over time we'd love to have the Marketing Forge be more of a platform where others can sell their content, and we can kind of have like a place to come for really anything related to starting a business or running a business, to have great products, informational products, templates, courses, all of that available in one place. But for right now, it's just all us. Primarily me and Adam, who's my business partner.
Are these these customers other agencies and freelancers, or companies trying to accomplish these things on their own in-house, small businesses? Who's buying this stuff?
It's mostly small businesses. It's interesting because we ask a couple of questions at checkout for every person. We've done this even when they were free. We've asked a couple of questions to every single person. What do you do? Like, are you a business owner? Are you an agency? You know, where do you come from? And most of them are small businesses, you know, 1, maybe 5 employees at the most, and they're pretty early on getting their business started. The other question that we ask is like, what's troubling you about your marketing? And 99% of them are answering with the answer of like, I'm confused. They have no idea what to do. They're just so like in their head, have no idea what to do next.
How
and
interesting.
So that's really the target, is these very small companies, people that are just getting started and they just don't know what to do.
Okay. Did anything surprise you in this process?
I think the most surprising thing is how many sales come from other countries.
Really?
We sell the least in the US, for sure.
Really?
And I don't know if that's like just a search engine thing, or I haven't quite figured out why, but New Zealand and Australia are 2 biggest countries that we're selling to, which is really fun because you wake up and it's like, oh, look, PayPal has some money in it from, you know, the down under. China and South Africa are kind of right after. And so it's really interesting to me that I don't know if it's a difference between the mentality of investing a little bit into these products because it's going to help their business. And that's something that maybe in the US, we're just used to getting so much free information that there's a disconnect there. Or if it's just a matter of we're just showing up better in search in those countries. But we'll definitely spend some time this year trying to figure it out. But it is fun to see that, you know, we're more popular, I guess, in these other countries than we are here.
I'm a big deal in New Zealand.
Right.
That's cool. That's fascinating. I would be so curious to understand reasons for that more.
I'm excited to have the time this year to really be able to dig into and understand that audience more and how they're finding us and why. And one of the problems we've had all along the way, even when our stuff was free, was getting feedback. You know, people kind of get the product and then it's hard to close that loop and find out, like, did this help you? Like, what did you do with it? Did it make a difference in your business? And so that's another big thing we're focusing on, is trying to really start relationships with people. Even if you just bought a $5 product from us, like, I want a relationship with you so I can understand what you're doing with it. Did it work? What else are you doing in your business that we can help you with?
A lot of companies in your position, building up a product division, wrestle with it being a distraction versus a complement to the business. And it's very easy to toe that line, for it to be something like, you have the skills, the ability, and you can create this thing, but is it actually helping your business, or is it just time spent on an unrelated thing? How do you see this? Is it complementing Blue Steel, or is it at times, you know, just a fun, distracting side project?
I think right now it's definitely a side hustle for us, right? Like I only have one other person in the business that's working on this with me, and we've partnered. So this is our little business together. But our vision is that ultimately we're able to step out of Blue Steel, hire people to replace us, so that business sort of runs on its own, and this becomes our primary source of income. This becomes our primary business.
Sure. Okay. Well, cool. That would be an exciting outcome. And it's neat that it appeals to you in that way, that like you've done enough of it to be drawn towards it even more.
Yeah, it's fun. It's what we really enjoy. You know, all the years when we spent time doing this stuff, we're really giving a lot of our time and energy to people that can't afford our services. That's like the most fulfilling work we've ever done. And so to be able
Sure.
to turn that into what we're doing full time would just be awesome. If we can make this work and make it profitable enough to support us and make that our full time job,
Mhm.
like I can't imagine anything better than that. It's just it's what we love to do, and
Yeah.
we really enjoy it, and it's fun, and I think we're good at it. So hopefully we can make that ultimately our full time job, and Blue Steel is something that can continue to run and really just be self sustaining.
Awesome. Uh, what what do you do outside of work?
It's a good question. I have 2 kids, so I spend a lot of time with them. Um, I'm one of those people, like I don't really have hobbies, and I know that sounds terrible, but my time spent working, taking care of my family, doing stuff with the kids,
Mhm.
and now working on this new project.
Yeah. Do you participate in many communities, if you will, like a WordPress community or entrepreneurs or anything in your local area?
I used to be really involved in all of that, and just kind of a side story. My youngest son, who I quit my job when he was born and went out and started Blue Steel. He is severely autistic, to the point where he really requires 2 adults at all times, just for kind of safety and maintaining sanity and all of those fun things. So my time spent outside of work is really virtual. It's what I can do online. It's what I can do from my home, or what I can do when he's in therapy. Um, Otherwise, it's really difficult to get those consistent times when I can go and do those things.
Right.
And so it's a little different perspective than most business owners, where I'm not the person that's out doing that stuff. I do kind of rely on my team to go and be our face at those live meetups and word camps and all of the things that would be really fun to go do. But, my obligation is definitely to my family, and making sure that things are taken care of there, which fortunately I've got this great team that can go participate instead.
Mhm. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's super cool. I've got just a couple more like wrap up questions for you. What is on your calendar in the future? Where like, is there anything that you actually might be attending? Maybe your team as well, if they
Mhm.
make more in person appearances than you do. So like, what's on the Blue Steel calendar event wise?
Yeah, we don't really have anything. This is a heads down year for us. We're working on getting this other business going. Really just kind of trying to focus on making Blue Steel as sustainable as possible, with us stepping out of it and then getting this new business started. So, we'll have webinars and local events, but right now, our calendar is kind of blank as far as that goes. We're still in the planning phases.
Interesting. Okay. Has that been different in the past, or you think it will change in the future?
It's definitely been different in the past. We've gone through years where we've been all in, attending every event, flying to word camps, doing a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
Last year was definitely a more involved year, especially in the WordPress community. In the past, I've done a lot of the chambers and professional groups and all that, and
Hmm.
it's very fulfilling, and I love those things. But I think this year is really just going to be us kind of figuring out what this looks like, creating product, and really working on the marketing strategy for it.
Great. Yeah, that's good. That's cool. It's good to be able to do that. Are you one of those people who would you think would attend more events in particular? This is just my own personal curiosity.
Mhm.
Pardon me for side like sidetracking a little bit, but would you attend more events if they were during the week?
Definitely, especially if they were during the workday.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go to something at 7 o'clock at night. I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's when my kids are winding down and we're getting ready to like end the day. The last thing I want to do is go like get cocktails with a bunch of strangers.
Right.
Let me meet up for coffee or lunch in the middle of the day, and I'm good. I'm there. But
Right.
weekends and evenings, it's the older you get, I think there's like this time when, especially if you have kids, it's really hard. And then once
Yeah.
they're older and more independent, I think it becomes easier again. But when they're in this stage of really needing you for everything, it's like, well, there goes my life. You know, I got to put that on hold for a little while and take care of things and then come back to it later when they're a little bit older.
Cool. Thank you for humoring me a little bit. Do you have good suggestions for people that I should have on the show in the future?
Yeah, you know, I think the content writer and business partner that I mentioned, Adam Fout, he's a fantastic guy. He's actually probably more ingrained in the WordPress community now than I am.
Really?
It's funny because he doesn't really do anything with WordPress besides put content into it.
Okay.
But he's a great guy and a great interview. There's also someone named Tori Keene, who's another local WordPress person here in Texas. She's got a great attitude and just really delivers a stellar product to her clients. And she's got some cool stories. So I think she'd be a great person for you too.
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you for those great suggestions. And sounds like I've got a little girl knocking on the door. She's up from her nap. Thank you very much, Heather, for taking time out of your afternoon to join me and tell me your story.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so grateful. It's been really neat to learn all of this. And I look forward to, encountering you a little bit more online and sharing this great story.
Awesome. Thanks so much.